Hey, you're watching Tackle Shop Live. What's going on?
Yo, yo, yo. I don't have no snappy sayings right now.
You know,
Show me the money. Oh,
Bill Barnes, how are
Oh.
you, Bill? Dave Stottlemyre, Mark, what's happening? Andre, how you doing, buddy? Scott Luckoff, how are you, Scott? Good seeing you, buddy. Andy, how you doing? Kevin Geezy, what's up, Kevin? What's going on, man? Hey, I'm Mike Acord. This is George Acord, and that is C.G. Corbin Gottwalt. The G stands for I got me a big striper over the weekend.
No weekend involved
you
here,
mean-
bro.
Oh, that's right.
2
during the
days
week.
ago.
We was playing during the week, like the rich folk do.
Oh, yeah.
What do you say,
Yeah.
Mike Heyer? Travis Gerhardt, how you doing? Stan Horn. Jason Shea, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, what up, Shay?
Boats and hoes. Homes, I mean. My bad.
We will just
Check that one.
It's okay.
Boats and homes. I meant to say boats and
It
homes.
was a
and homes.
silent M.
Boats and
Silent
homes.
M.
Mike,
Yes.
happy birthday announcement.
Man, do we ever have a happy birthday?
Oh, George, are you
I
gonna
was
sing?
going to wait till I saw him on here to get into that.
Yeah. We gotta wait a little bit.
Yeah,
on
I think
that
I'm going to
one.
wait on that till I see him get in here. But Emmett, how you doing? Eric Albright, what's up? Man, I tell you, we got some kind of weird show today. We're just going to start talking fishing today. We it's cold out there. It got really cold here in the Northeast, 20 in the 20s this morning.
Down in Louisiana, it went all the way down to 50, and they were talking about brutal boat runs in the Bass Nation tournament. It was 50 degrees, and apparently there was some drizzle involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had heavy frost, huh, Corbin?
Oh, yeah. And I would like to give a shout out to the guy standing to my left by the name of George. He created a new term in the dictionary that'll be coming out next year. When we were all striper fishing for 2 days, he coined the term cabin hero. And what's funny is other people sat outside in the wind and the rain, and let's just say maybe me and Joey sat inside and drank some beer while the cabin was running with the heat was on. I mean, I'm just saying, man. I mean,
Can't
They-
catch anything
and then yesterday
when
George
your
is like,
lines are in the water.
yeah, well, if the
Given
screen-
the option, they get soft.
Hey,
Yep.
no.
Yep.
And then yesterday, George is like, man, this cabin hero life doesn't suck. I'm like, see? I mean, I'm just saying, man. Just saying.
Well, we went
So-
on a striper fishing trip on Tuesday and Wednesday down with our good friend Mark Glasso on the Tune of the Tide, who's a great captain. If you guys
Oh, my
ever want
God.
to go down to the mid-Bay area, Kent Narrows, he is one of the best. He puts you on them. We worked our butts off to find the fish, which he always does. He doesn't mess around. He finds the fish for you. We get on them, and we caught them. We caught nice fish. We're going to post some pictures on our Facebook here over the next couple of days of some of the fish we caught. It was a lot of fun. I mean, we hammered them.
Yeah.
We hammered them.
And what's really cool about fishing with Captain Mark is, I mean, I know there's a lot of people out here that are bass fishermen. We take our bass gear down. Like, we're not going,
Yeah.
we don't troll.
No.
We don't live line.
No.
I mean, we swim bait with Z-Man.
Yep.
We jig with Z-Man.
Yep.
And, we get on them and we catch them. And
Yep.
it's
Every time we go, we get them.
Yeah, and it's not just a matter of like going with Mark because he's an awesome guy, a very seasoned captain, but it's about the experience. And like we talk about this from time to time, it's not just about going striper fishing.
Right.
It's about going striper fishing, catching your limit, catching a bunch of fish, basically doing a population sample of the whole bay, right?
Yeah.
Getting back, you know, cracking a 5-star, watching Mark fillet the fish, and then saying, all right, guys, now what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go get some crabs. So we're going to walk over there and get crabs. I mean, or get oysters or whatever. I mean, it's,
absolutely.
So,
yeah, well, like I said, it was a really good time. We had a lot of fun, and I look forward to those trips every year. We definitely do a couple with him every year, and we take our own boat down that way. It's always a good change. Go down there and catch 25, 26-inch fish, 28-inch fish. Corbin, was yours?
Yeah, 28.5 was the biggest.
28.5 was the biggest.
And I mean, there may be some listeners out there that are like, oh, you know, that's not a big fish. I mean, which again, in the striper realm, if you're fishing out in the ocean and using, you know, that kind of stuff. But I mean, I caught it on a 7.2 medium heavy X Pride.
Yeah.
With a 1 ounce weight and a 5-inch diesel minnow.
I was fishing 803 NRX all day long and caught 24s, 25 inches. You know, it was a lot. It's always a lot of fun. I just love that light tackle fishing. It's really cool. It's a good change of pace for you guys or bass heads like we are. It's just a really neat change of pace. You don't have to think about anything. They're not terribly hard to find, but they, you can just follow the birds around and get on them. And we take like I said, we take our own boats down also when we fish down there. And it's just like bass fishing. Basically, you're just looking for bait.
Yeah.
Finding the bait, finding the fish, dropping down on them, catching them. Yeah.
And, get a group of 5-6 people together. You go down there, it's $150 a person or whatever, plus tip. I mean, get to spend a day with your buddies, catch some striper. I mean, we got to give a shout out to what happened today. Mikey made some awesome rockfish tacos today for lunch. Tremendous. And again, just another great day.
Well, we also got lucky when we were on our striper fishing trip. There is a season on the Chesapeake where you can dive for oysters. So divers, they book charter captains to take them out. And, the charter captains have oyster bars that they dive on.
Yep.
And these guys, get some nice oysters. So a dive boat came over and offered up about 3 dozen nice oysters. Now they're mid-bay oysters. If salty oysters is your thing, they're not like they're good oysters. Yeah. They're fresh oysters, but they're not.
I don't know a bad fresh oyster like that was caught yesterday.
No, and they're good. And they're good. I mean, but my point is, if you like a salty oyster, like a chinkatank or up north,
pemmiquids or whatever you guys get.
They're great. And it was pretty cool. The guys came over and they said, hey, man, you guys want a few dozen? Well, we sure ain't going to say no.
Right.
We already had today's lunch menu planned out when that came down.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Fresh shucked oysters, man, with rockfish tacos. It was great. It was fun.
What about 8?
It was a good time to have those and eat up.
Very good. Very good.
It was all good. But yeah, we had a birthday today. Go Gomez, happy birthday to you, buddy. I know you're probably out to birthday dinner with your wife. I know that. So, but you can rewatch this and I hope
there he is.
There he is. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Go.
Man, I tell you what, buddy. I hope you had a great day today, and we would sing happy birthday to you, but nobody wants to hear that. So
it's not pretty, but it's from the heart. Go.
Yep, yes. Absolutely. So shout out to Go Gomez on his birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, brother. Hope it's a great one.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Logan Schallenberger, how you doing, buddy? Good seeing you. Todd Langle, what's happening? So we also have cameraman Nick's in the house. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, absolutely. He actually was working last week.
Yeah, you don't want to leave the secret out too much. I got to work every once in a while.
He does.
Yeah,
So the cameraman,
you got to make it look good.
Does work outside of being a cameraman.
That's true. Keep it on the down low.
Yeah, keep it on the down low. All right, Nick. All right. Well, it's good to have you back, buddy.
Thank you.
So, man, like I said in the post earlier, it got really cold outside and it got cold really quick here. We were dealing with Like I said, in the mornings it was in the 30s yesterday, and today I woke up and it was I think 29. Heavy frost the last 2 days. Leaves are starting to drop off the trees pretty heavily right now. Our river where we've been fishing is was swollen the last couple of days, but it's coming down nicely and clearing off, and it's getting right. I mean, the everything is getting right now. It's so is it fall? Is it late fall? Is it early winter? I think it's definitely
smack dab in the middle of it.
yeah, right smack dab in the middle of that,
and a lot of the country too. I mean, as I said earlier, the Bass Nation Championship is in Louisiana on the Wichita River. I mean, for there, it's cold. Texas, a lot of parts in Texas, it's cool.
Yeah.
So it's definitely fall.
So we're getting really excited about it, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight and some of the things that we're doing and we're going. Shimano's in town. They're going fishing tomorrow. So Corbin and George are heading out with those guys and gonna spend a little time on the water with those guys, fishing all the new latest hot gear from Shimano and Jackal. So even some prototype stuff that's not even on the market yet. They got a couple baits of those. They're gonna throw those around and kind of get a feel for it, so we can tell you guys about it on our next show, and give you some insight on what we found out about these new rods, these new reels.
I'm not gonna lie, Mike. That kind of work it's some tough. It's hard work. I mean, it's like, for example, I'm gonna have to rotate through at least 12 different combos tomorrow.
Oh God.
I'm gonna have to rotate through 12 different combos tomorrow myself.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm probably gonna have to tie 25 or 30 knots to try out all the new lures.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know what sacrifices more I have to make, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to fish NRX Plus.
Yep.
I'm going to fish Poison Adrena.
Corrado.
I'm going to fish Sustain. I actually helped them get some tackle. I'm going to fish a Stella tomorrow. I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm going to fish a Stella.
There we go.
Felt a little rough, but I'm going to give it a shot.
We got Todd Blankenship. He was here. He bought a NRX rod from us, and he's telling us right now that he had a blast with it last Saturday. He loves it.
Yeah.
Todd was in on Saturday. Yes.
It's going to be a fun day tomorrow, man. I mean, George picked out his special combo.
Todd and his son. His son was in. It was his 21st birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, really? And I mean, George, I'm sure you're going to talk more about this next week, but there's one particular rod that when we went through the samples today, me, you, and Patrick, that you're like, oh, I am fishing this rod tomorrow. And that's the Poison Adrena spinning rod. It's the ultralight medium plus or whatever you call it. And you are like,
it's pumped. A Japanese, it's a very Japanese action.
Yeah.
Poison Adrena. It's an ultralight, extra fast ultralight tip on a medium power.
Yeah.
Finesse rod. And I teamed it up with a Vanford 3000 for tomorrow.
Yep.
And I put big stickers on it that said George's rod, nobody touched. So that's what I'm going to fish tomorrow on my trip with the boys. One of them. And
well, don't worry.
We will talk at length on the new products next week.
Absolutely.
As well as we do every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some new toys to talk about later in this episode with you when we get into the old tackle talk section.
Oh, absolutely.
But next week's tackle talk section, we're going to kind of expand upon because we're going out tomorrow to fish it.
Yeah.
So,
don't worry, guys. You still can come to the shop and visit me. I'll be here working like usual and taking care of you guys and making sure that you guys can come here and get your tackle on. So don't worry. I'll be here for that. No worries with that.
On, huh? You're going to be on tomorrow.
I'll be on. I'm on
a Friday.
On a Friday. That's great. I love Fridays.
That means George got to fish 3 days this week.
Yeah, everybody gets excited on Fridays. They come in to get their tackle for their weekend, and I love Fridays. It's a lot of fun. Oliver, how you doing, bud?
Corrado rod.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
very nice, very nice.
Oh, good. Yeah, Oliver got that's right. They got the Corrado rod, and Yeah, beautiful. I'm glad you like it, buddy. It's a great rod. That thing is absolutely.
I'm like, these people are dabbing you up a little bit here.
Yeah,
Todd Langle says that you're the SFT glue.
I am the glue.
And William Barnes is calling you the rock at the shop.
That is right. That is right. Thank you, guys. I'm glad you're throwing that out to me because I need.
Can we go into an
kudos.
Omaha offense here? Pump the brakes, slow it down a little bit. There's still 2 minutes on the clock.
Somebody realizes it around here.
All right. Can we move on? All right.
Yeah. Well, like I always said, George is the governor. He has to go out and he has to preach the word all the time. So I make sure
say it, Pastor.
He's with the right people so he can preach his politics and have it all heard by the radios.
Politics or the politics of the river. I mean,
right.
I'm just saying.
Well,
All you're going to hear out of me tomorrow.
Mike Acord for president. Right on.
Yeah. All you're going to hear out of me is screaming drags and violent hook sets. The forecast is 100% chance of violent hook sets and screaming drags.
Well, I just want to welcome everybody for stopping by tonight. Thanks so much from Facebook side and from the YouTube side. Thank you guys for stopping in. And I hope you guys right now can slam all your share buttons and share this with all your friends so they're not going to miss out. That would be great. We would appreciate it.
Helps us too.
Well, without further ado, we're going to get on.
Are we done with the monologue?
Tournament talk.
Like we always do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for this one.
Yes. The season is still not over.
I know.
It's still going.
Did you hear?
Never.
It makes George very, very happy.
I love it.
He loves it. What do you got, Corbin?
Did you hear what happened last weekend?
What?
George, Ish Monroe.
Oh, yeah.
Won a buddy tournament.
Yeah.
With 22-7-1 on Clear Lake. Caught him on a jackhammer with a Shockwave trailer. And guess what he won himself? A Bass Cat boat.
Dang.
You know what they say, don't you?
That's what he does.
When you mess with the bull, you might get the horn.
Yep.
You know, Ish is at the house.
He's still a hammer, man. I don't think the Major League Fishing does him well because he's a big fisherman, and it's just not his gig. So that's why you don't see him all the time on the TV because he
catches
fives, not twos.
Yeah, I mean, there was a Bass Pro Tour event earlier this year where Ish was on the juice and he was on big fish. And if you recall, it was down in the what I like to call the Golden Triangle.
Yeah.
The Raleigh-Durham area.
Yeah.
And
right.
To prove Mike's point, I mean, Ish had a really good tournament, but if you all you listeners, we talked about that particular tournament, Ish found a giant bedfish at the end of day 2, 3, whatever it was.
Yeah, wasn't it like a
10 something?
Well, it was closer to an 8.
Yeah, but wasn't that fish like if you caught the big fish, you got like an extra bonus money?
You got $100 grand.
$100,000.
So he decided to go for that final day bonus fish of $100 grand, which also wouldn't have exactly hurt his cause.
No, because if you would have won the tournament, he would have gotten $100 grand.
Yeah, so I'm not so sure he would have won the tournament, but it would have boosted him up there. It was a big fish. I mean, you're going to jump,
Yeah.
But
well, you ended up hooking it.
$100,000. I mean, you're going to stay on that fish, and he is a master of catching giant fish. He's a master of catching giant sight fish. He's a master of catching giant flip fish. He's a master of catching giant frogfish. And this was like a perfect storm where that all came together.
Yeah.
And the only part that he didn't master on that was he lost it. And I'm telling you, I could have cried myself. And I saw Ish at iCast.
Oh God.
I mean, he called me before iCast and was talking about some Daiwa stuff, and I saw him at iCast. I'm like, bro. He said, yeah, it was bad. But can you imagine?
Yeah. All that time and then you set the hook on that fish and lose them.
And I mean, Ish is doing what Ish does best, which is fish tournaments and do well. But from a selfish standpoint of view, and I know Corbin feels the same way because we're
We love
both
fish.
tournament freaks and we talk about this stuff all the time. I really would love to lobby for the ish for the elites. We need to come up with a snappy slogan,
Yeah.
maybe some
We
some
want them back on the elites.
pocket protectors that would have a logo on it.
or at least fish the big 5 where it's the 5 bass limit.
Nah, dog. Ish for the elites.
Yeah.
But that's another topic for another day.
Another day.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's part of our tournament talk because he did win that, buddy. That was on Clear Lake.
Yep.
And he went with a guy who was a big hammer dog too. He used to fish with the partner used to fish with oh shoot, just slipped my mind.
Well,
A big Western California guy. Old time guy.
oh, like D. Thomas?
D. Thomas. Yeah, D. Thomas.
He didn't fish with D. Thomas.
He used to fish with D. Thomas.
Oh, yeah, the guy did.
The guy did.
But D. Thomas wasn't there.
No.
Yeah.
I'm saying the guy who Ish fished with what he used to buddy tournament with D. Thomas.
You know who D. Thomas is?
Yeah.
What's he famous for?
D. Thomas
The
is
father of
flipping.
very good, Mikey.
I know.
Very good.
I know things, brother.
Very good.
I know things.
And do you know who was a major, also on the Bass Pro Tour, who was a major disciple of D. Thomas? Matter of fact, he's part owner of the Bass Pro Tour.
Yeah.
You almost said it.
Shoot.
Yeah,
What's his name?
yeah.
Klein. Gary Klein.
Yes.
Gary Klein. Yeah.
So
just big.
interesting.
2 for 2.
And
I'll drink for them.
it's kind of interesting that both of these guys, Ish, who's connected there, and Gary, who's connected there, are so good with the big flip stick.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Also in the tournament talk segment, we have something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's the Bass Nation Championship.
Yep.
Man.
The Nationals.
How awesome
The
is
big
that?
show.
Big show.
You know what's nice about this tournament? The top angler in each division goes to the Classic.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay, now the guy that's leading it, I think he's still leading it. He was leading it yesterday, and he was leading it when he weighed in today, even though he only weighed in 4 pounds today. Guy by the name of Kobe Carden.
Kobe Carden
from Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Kobe Carden has fished 2 classics already as a result of the nation.
So he's kind of like
you, George.
Well, no.
Yeah.
No, he's Kobe Carden. There's only one George.
Come on, give us some sound effects on that one, Mikey. Oh, come on.
There's only one George.
The one and only. But Kobe Carden. Oh, you're just having fun now, aren't you?
I know.
Kobe Carden weighed in 19.5 on day 1. He's flipping. Now, they're on the Wachita River. Wachita is the correct way to say that. Spelled with an O. It's called Wachita.
Where's that?
Here. Louisiana.
Ah.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
You fished there, didn't you?
That
Yeah, Cross Lake.
Yeah.
The one-wheeler one. That was pretty wild.
So
is it a lake or is it a tidal water?
it's a river with backwaters.
It's
not tidal. But they got 650 miles of river to run.
God.
So it's the Wachita River.
Hey, Nick, how do you break that down, huh?
Full send.
1 mile at a time. So Wachita River and Kobe Carden made a long run on day 1 under grueling 50-degree temperatures.
I bet they broke out the Sims heavy-duty suits for that.
Well, it was raining, so I mean it does make it brutal, but still. No, and that's no slam on you, Kobe Carden. We're just laughing because the last 2 fishing trips we've had, it's been brutal weather.
Yeah,
That's why I'm a cabin hero.
But but he weighed 19.5 on day 1. That included a 5.7. And what's interesting about this is he's flipping creature baits on cypress stumps and cypress knees.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who aren't aware, cypress tree grows in the water, and where you see the trunk of the tree go into the water, there's out from it it's almost like it's a moat going around the tree, and then you have like the roots come up. They're called knees.
Knees.
So they come up and they look like little tiny stumps all the ways around the cypress tree.
Mm-hmm.
So those fish can actually be down in that trough, or they can be on the outside of those knees using them like a stump. So when you flip in cypress trees, the moral of the story is
have lots of hooks.
It's a lot of work. I mean, you're flipping like one tree might be like 30 flips.
Yeah.
You know, because of the angles and the amount of knees around it.
We fished them in Georgia.
Well, we fished them in many states.
South Carolina.
I mean, I can show them to you on the Sassafras River near Georgetown, Maryland. Yeah. And how about the Nanacoke River in Delaware and the Pocomoke River and
the James,
the Marshy Hope River and the James River and
I didn't think there was any above. I thought Pocomoke was like the most northern batch of them things.
Well, let me know when you want to see one in the Sassafras, and let's put a bet on it. I'll drive you there tonight yet. Show it to you. But anyways, it's a lot like boat dock fishing in the sense that, in my experience on it, which is limited, we probably did our biggest amount of that on Santee Cooper. But they set up on these trees and knees and kind of like how they set up on docks. Like, you know, you'll find your fish on the shallow end of the dock one day,
shade,
the deep side of the dock, under the cable, you know, kind of a pattern. And that's the same. So you don't have to go, you know, when you're going down the bank and there's 1,000 cypress trees in front of you, you don't have to flip 37 times to all 1,000 of them. Yeah. It'll be the inside trees, the outside trees, what have you. You get my point.
Yeah.
But he had 19.5, but he also had a 5.7 lunker.
Damn. That's
and nice what fish. Was cool about this story he told was when he set the hook, the reel seat on his rod broke in half and the reel popped off the rod.
I saw that happen with Randy Howe.
Yeah. I mean, well, and we've all had it happen.
It happens.
I mean,
it happens. Not on 5-pounders, but it happens.
No. So he said he threw the rod under his arm and kind of like, I don't hand line that in, I guess is the proper way to say it.
Yeah.
And, you know, like probably some running back and forth involved and
screaming,
you know, just pretty cool.
Yeah.
So he had 19.5 on day one. He had like a 4 or 5 pound lead going into day two. Now today he only weighed in like 4 pounds. Today was a post front, you know, bluebird, blustery, and you know how those bass react to that high pressure. So another thing I want to say about this tournament, and we're not really going to have pattern information to break down tonight because obviously they're playing it close to the vest. But another thing that's cool about this tournament is second place is a Pennsylvania angler by the name of Aaron Green. So, you know, Kobe Carden can win this tournament.
Aaron Green from Pittsburgh area?
Yeah. West Coast. Kobe Carden can win this tournament, and it doesn't matter because Aaron Green's in a different division. But there's a guy that's been doing this for a long time there by the name of Mike Wolfington.
He's in 5th now.
He's a hammer.
Well, yeah, but where's he at in his division?
Leading it now.
See?
So
him and Aaron Green are in the same division. So what you have at this tournament is you have the tournament with the overall champion who gets paid a nice chunk of change, but you have the 5 of
contests.
The more important tournaments are the 5 divisions in between there. And this tournament's international. There's people here from Japan, Korea, Spain, Australia, Italy. So
South America. Remember that guy down in South America? He used to fish all of them all the time. George fished against him many times.
You're talking about South Africa.
I'm sorry, South Africa. Yeah.
That's a little farther south than South America.
Yeah, South Africa.
Jerry Eusta.
And he's fished, I think, 3 or 4 classics.
He's fished a few of them. That's fact. And there's a few other people from South Africa that have fished.
Yeah.
But anyways, I digress. That's where we're at. So we'll of course, since we opened this can of worms, we'll of course revisit it next week and wrap it up and put a shout out to our Bass Nation buddies. For those of you who are into club fishing or are not in a club yet, but you're into tournament fishing, maybe you fish buddy tournaments, maybe you want to fish tournaments,
right?
The Federation is a fantastic way to dip your toe in the pool and see if you like the option. Because what the Federation does for you is it allows you to compete at the club level, which is very simple and basic, but competitive. But it also simultaneously allows you to compete at the state level. And also allows you to compete beyond the state level at like the divisional and then here the national level. You can fish on the bass side, which is called the Bass Nation.
That's what I was going to ask. Or
you can fish on the TBF side, which is underneath the MLF, Big Five, Major League Fishing, Boyd Duckett umbrella. I don't even know what it's called anymore. That is actually, by population, a bigger side. And, you can debate who's what, but the Bass Nation, the 5 guys from this tournament are going to the Bassmasters Classic. Now, I mean,
yeah,
there's some things that are debatable in this world. Who's
can't
got the best? Who's got the best federation? Who's got the best options?
Can't debate that.
But it's the Classic.
Can't debate it.
Okay, so, anyways, you can do that. It's a fantastic way to expand your tournament fishing horizons, and then spin off. So, if you ever want to discuss that further,
yeah,
give us a holler here at the shop, and we've been down that path with
yeah.
both sides.
Oh yeah,
for decades,
and
a
lot of fun.
Love it.
A lot of
and
fun.
Would love to talk to you
about
fishermen.
A lot of good fishermen on that.
Mike, we have a Marie Ryan Todd.
Yeah.
So Haverty Grace, Maryland, which is on the famous Chesapeake Bay. And by the way, Marie Ryan Todd, thanks for putting this up. There's a local club down there called the River Rats, and they've been around forever. Okay. And they're kind of known for their nice open tournaments that they run.
They've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. And you know what I used to remember about the River Rats tournaments? You better like to fish because they like to fish. There ain't no such thing as an 8-hour River Rats tournament.
Perfect.
I mean, they're just getting warmed up at 8 hours. So they go out of Haverty Grace, and if you want to fish that tournament, all you need to know is be at Haverty Grace before it gets light and plan on staying until it gets dark. And they will have a wonderful buddy tournament for you. And
yeah.
Thanks for putting that up there.
This tournament brings out all the guys. I mean, everybody's going to show up at this one.
Well, it's a nice quality event.
It's a great event, and I'm sure like Pete Lusick will be there probably, and all those guys from Jersey will come over and fish it. It's a fun event.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. There's a few circuits in our area, in our zip code, so to speak, that are very nice.
Yep.
That's one of them.
Yep.
So if you're looking for a little tournament action on Saturday, check out the River Rats out of Haverty Grace, and you should enjoy yourself there.
Doesn't Setlock have a Conowingo Open?
Well,
Saturday,
the winter series, the Conowingo Open Winter Series starts Saturday.
Okay.
Yep. And then
there's another local option for you.
One every single weekend for 5 or 6 weeks.
As a matter of fact, I think there's another open tournament on the other side of the bay so let's put it this way. If you're local to our zip code, you got all kinds of tournaments to fish this weekend.
Absolutely.
Because you got the River Rats out of Haverty Grace. You got the, I'm not sure whose tournament it is out of Anchor, but they run a lot of them.
Mm.
And then you've got the Conowingo series, the regular Conowingo series, of which we sponsor. Their Winter League starts this Saturday. So if you're local,
there you go.
Or even if you're not local and you feel like a little road trip, if you guys want to try any of this stuff and you're not used to it, give Mike a call tomorrow. He'll be working at the shop, and we'll have ample time to answer your calls. Do not call myself or Corbin because we will be fishing.
Yeah, you know what?
Sorry to say that.
You're an asshole. I just want to say that straight up.
Now,
I'm
really, is
sorry.
that's uncalled for?
I'm just saying it. Sorry, kids, but that's what. If you
You
want to know
you
what
guys
one of
can
them
call
is,
me.
I thought this was
if you want to know what one of them
PG-13.
looks like, right over here is what it looks like.
You
Right.
guys can call me.
Why?
I'll do some research and try to find
Whoever
it
are
for
you talking about?
Yeah.
Could it be me?
Oh, why, George?
Here he goes.
I know. Maybe fishing ain't your game.
How about another Bassmaster Classic run next year, Georgie?
Well, we're working on that.
I mean,
we're putting some pieces in the play.
yeah. I mean,
But let's not talk about that.
I got you.
That's crazy. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, hey, Todd Albright. Yeah, what's up, Todd? How you doing? Keith Howard, how you doing? Ed Rodnowski, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, Leland Hansford. Holy cow, Leland, how are you, buddy? Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody appreciate.
We got a lot of people tuning in tonight.
Yeah, so
it's cold. It's cold out, baby.
I know. So here's the deal with
They didn't all tune in to hear Corbin sing.
Let's talk about some cold
Sing.
stuff here. We're gonna talk.
Sing.
What I like to talk about right now is just a couple of things fishing wise, and that is what we're going to be throwing the next couple of days, especially this weekend on the river. And what we thought we would do is just kind of go down the row here and just give you guys just what we're going to be throwing, and why we're going to be throwing it, and maybe you guys can try this stuff this weekend, and next week we'll talk about it.
Let's call it one sneaky bait that we will have rigged from now until it warms up, and
Man, that's a long intro.
you know. Boom.
Thank God you're not emceeing it, because that would jeez, oh man, what an intro.
I was trying to think of my words. You know, it was you know what they call that in the government? That's a filibuster.
Oh,
You
God.
know,
George, you're the master of filibusters, right?
I mean, I could talk for the next 2 hours about anything but fishing, but
Yeah.
I was trying to think of my words.
Well,
GDP just checked in with the crew.
what?
Hey.
Mike Kiermeyer. Mike, I know I butchered that. Stan Horn is saying that their open is November the 13th, and Jack Henkel is saying it's Bass Legends out of the Northeast on
Oh, okay.
this Saturday.
What's up, Jason Basta? I know he's going to fish the winter series, so hope you do well there, bud.
So a couple more shout outs there to some.
So let's get into these winter tips, or just colder water. What we're going to be doing this weekend, Corbin.
Sneaky technique.
Yeah, these sneaky techniques that we use when it's like this. The water's up, the water's down, the temperature's up, the temperature's down. What are you going to throw this weekend, Corbin?
I mean, if I had to pick one bait, assuming that I have semi-clear enough water to do it and it's not dirty, because if it's dirty, you're going to have to watch last week's show, because that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm throwing a jerk bait.
Yeah.
I'm throwing a deep diving jerk bait.
Yeah, son.
And I'm throwing the deep diving jerk bait because I can throw it very far because they're heavy. I can get the bait down really quickly, and I can keep it in the strike zone, because when I see that first big cold session come in, like we've had these past couple days, they ain't gonna be looking up real good. I mean, maybe next week when the water gets into the 60s and all, the temps get in the 60s, that's a different story. But I mean, I'm going to the Spro. Okay, I'm going to the +1, +2 Megabass. I'm going to the Re-Range, which is a big sleeper, the MR, because that's an aggressive working jerkbait.
Oh yeah, that's a good
And
one.
I'm going to the 110 +1 Junior. And I mean, I'm going to throw that bait as far as I can, cross current or, around some kind of hard cover. I'm not fishing grass. And, we throw it on 10-pound fluorocarbon, 610 X-Pride or 610 Zodius rod. And I'm going to twitch it, and I'm going to allow it to pause and suspend, because your water temperature is going to be significantly cooler than it was last week. So this is the time of year where those baits truly suspend. And I'm going to catch them on it. That's my plan.
Question, Corbin, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers have this one too. You just said a bunch of different baits here.
Yep.
If you want to pick out one or two, what would make you pick one over the other? What's the different you know, the way it comes to the water? Or?
Yeah. That's a great question. For me, guiding on the river, I'll be honest, I'm going to do what the majority of guides don't throw. I'm going to go to a mega bass, or I'm going to go to a re-range, or I'm going to go to the Spro McRib. And the reason why I'm using those baits is because the fish don't see them as much. A lot of people will throw an X-Rap or an alot single. They'll stick with the pointer 100. A lot of people don't throw deeper diving jerk baits. So for me, I'm going to go to a thinner profile, not as tight of a wobble, and something that truly suspends so that I can get it down to the bait as quick as possible.
Tighten it up even a little bit more. Tell me some colors, even.
So colors, I mean, Mike, yeah, as much as I want to give them away, that's kind of based on the region. But what I will say is, like, for me, something that's got purple in it. Okay. So I break colors down into about 3 different classifications, and you have to have all 3. If you ask me, in multiple baits, etc., you need to have a white or a painted style jerk bait, okay, which is good on cloudy, clear water, or a little bit of dirt. Okay. You have to have a what I call translucent, which is going to be something like a ghost minnow, something like a Tennessee shad, possibly, depending on the one, a wagasagi, where when you hold it up to the light, it's translucent. You can see through it. Okay. But when you don't hold it up to the light, right, it appears that it's got a little bit of flash on it. And for me, this is where it's important that it has a little bit of silver and it has a little bit of purple as well.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 colors for me that are important. Maybe chartreuse on the tail, specifically with mega bass.
And really, those are colors that you can catch fish all across the country on.
Correct.
They really are.
But
as long as you have that translucent and then that painted.
Yeah, and then you need the loud.
Yeah.
You need the loud. You need your eleggy bone. You need your something that's got like a chartreuse underside. In this particular instance, it is eleggy bone that I'm holding up here.
Yeah.
But something where it's like, okay, if the fish is looking up and imagine the waves are blowing or whatever, then you just see this like chartreuse belly. They're going to eat that,
Yeah.
In the re-range, more of a natural colors. This one right here. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
Hey, Sue.
And, again, just your regular, this was a McRib that I call, it looks really a lot like a shad. You guys are on heavy shad lakes, but the whole thing to these jerk baits is these fish are going to they're not going to go real far. So I did not want to talk about a Ned rig. I did not want to talk about a tube, which is just something that's going to play all year round this time of year. I wanted to talk about a jerk bait because a lot of times this time of year, people put the jerk bait down. And to me, it's like, when Mike said, hey, we're doing this show, and what's one thing you're going to leave tied on until the water warms up? I mean, for me, it's jerk bait. Yeah. And I'm not going to have 1 on, I'm going to have 2 on. So as far as areas where I'm going to fish it, it could be a creek channel. It could be an area where there's deeper water nearby. It could be on the backside of a ledge. Could be in some ditches, troughs. I mean, all in all, it's just going to be areas where it's not 1 foot of water. I mean, these fish are going to start moving towards winter areas. And for me, I want to intercept them. I want to intercept them at the migration route. And I want to be able to put a bait in front of their face and use the current to my advantage that I can basically tease them and get them to bite.
Now, Corbin, along with that, what's your retrieve this time of year?
So every day is different. I'm going to make, again, this is important because I talk about this, and guys that have fished with me, you need to get a long cast. Okay. You have to get that bait out. You have to use 10-pound fluorocarbon to get the bait down. And I'm going to start with a couple aggressive, quick twitches to get the bait down. And then I'm going to do like a twitch, pause. Okay. And then maybe I'll go twitch, pause. I mean, the biggest thing that I can tell you guys is a bass is a predator. Okay. If the water is cold, the bass and the bait is probably not going to be moving real fast because everything is not set up that way. It's not a warm water ecosystem. They're cold-blooded. So anything that's in the ecosystem is cold-blooded. Therefore, the colder the water, the less they're going to move. So you guys need to keep that in mind with your baits. Now, there's a bait that I really want to talk about because it really plays big. And depending on which lake, river, ecosystem you guys are fishing, you have to know the size of your foliage, because if you have a lot of small bait around, that mega bass +1 junior is going to shine for you. If you have a lot of big bait around, you're going to want to throw a bigger bait like a +1 or a +2. So you have to adjust. And what's funny is about this time of year, if the wind blows, you may need to go to a bigger bill. If the water drops, or for instance, the tide does not come in, or the wind blows out of the creek, or whatever variables happen, you may have to go back to the shallow running version of these jerk baits. So for me, all the jerk baits that I throw, and I didn't talk about the Lucky Craft Stacy or some of the other, the pointer DDs, that they're all in that same category right here, but they're more known. And I want to talk specifically about these baits because these are the ones I throw a lot of. So
yeah. I mean, that's a key bait for this time of year. Somebody's asking, what do we throw for this time of year? That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about what we're going to be throwing, these secret kind of sly little baits that we throw, that a lot of people aren't throwing. There are secret little things that we do, and that's what we're kind of getting into right now. And for the next, till the water gets hard, we starts bouncing.
Eric Current had an interesting question. I believe it was in regards to the jerkbait. Can you explain further use, how you use current to your advantage?
Yeah.
And, if you're fishing in current, obviously there's some really interesting, deadly techniques for the jerkbait.
There is. And I mean, one technique, I'm going to explain one of the ways that I use it. And then, I can keep talking about this, but it's also a great way to transition the segment into George and Mike and how they do this. But for me, I use current to my advantage during this situation. So I may either throw, you may see me along the bank. You may see me, in no current, but I'm going to use the current to my advantage because at this time of year, fish are either A, hiding behind some kind of a rock, ledge, etc., meaning they're trying to get out of the current, or they're right on the seam, usually on the calmer areas. So I may put my bait in a calm pocket and throw completely out into the middle of current and use the current to let my bait twitch around and then get onto the inside seam where it's calm, or I may sit in the current and do the complete opposite. But I'm using that current seam as a way of navigating where the fish are positioned, because somewhere they're going to be along current close to being out of it. So
Yeah.
The other thing is you can let you can let a shallow running jerkbait go back incredibly far, aka the George method, and get down to the same depth as some of these baits. And we kind of laugh about it and joke amongst ourselves. But I fished with George a couple times where I'm throwing a deep dive and jerkbait and I'm catching them. And understand, if we're on my boat, I'm in the front. So if he's in the back, he's got a 20-foot advantage, down current of me on every cast, which that's a lot to make up if you're behind a ledge. So George will actually literally let his bait go halfway down the river. Okay. Make a couple twitches and you'll see this fish jump up. I've seen epic proportions, right, George?
A very critical point to this is using the current is you're not fishing directly across to the bank. That's what you got to understand. The boats are facing up river. The bank is in front of us and the downriver side is to our left down here. We're looking downriver at what we want to fish. Okay. We're not fishing this in front of us. We're looking back here, and our cast is very rarely straight across unless we're in a spot lock situation or whatever. But we're making a downriver cast, like on a quartering downriver. And this is something you guys really want to pay attention to. We're making cast down a downriver, quartering downriver cast, and we're letting that bait swing in front of the cover that we want to fish, because there's a lot of times those aggressive fish are sitting, on the front side of a ledge or front side of a rock or in a ditch that kind of tapers down and comes up to a sandbar, and they're sitting on what you call the push. So we want our jerk bait to come down and swing. And that's what Corbin's kind of saying. He makes these bomb cast out like this to be able to have that thing swing and get all the way in front of that fish as they are stacked up like this. Our bait's coming across them like this. So, and then a lot of times we'll just let it soak back there right in front of that ledge or right in front of that rock or right in that tapering ditch.
Yep.
and we'll let it soak in there and just put it right in their face because that's where they're at, and you just stick it in front of their face and you let it there and you twitch it at whatever pauses the water temperature is allowing you to do. But that's what he's kind of saying, and that's kind of putting it together for you, really writing it down on a piece of paper for you right there.
Yeah,
so,
and for me, I usually cast at 90 degrees. I don't do 45 because I know I can let line out as I'm getting it down. But
well,
for me, I'm always in the front of the boat.
He's in the front of the boat, but even still, if
yeah.
you guys pay attention to the quartering down and letting that thing swing on that quartering down swing, and you fish the stuff that's behind the boat, that's where it really comes into play.
And one thing that I want to really talk about specifically with this is like I'm using my electronics on this. Like I'm going to fish some high percentage areas, but this is an area where I see them on the 360. I see them on side imaging. I see them on the push of a ledge, and I know that they're there.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a.
We're fishing where the bait is. Yeah.
You have to be around bait.
Yeah.
Around
You're around
fish.
the fish. This is around the fish, and you're allowing that bait to be in front of them as long as possible. I think that's what we're doing.
Yep.
George, what are you throwing?
There's a lot of other aspects of current. That was a great question by Eric Current, but let's say you're not fishing a river, okay, and you don't have that kind of current. Let's say you're fishing a lake with wind-blown current. That's a major factor. Or the other scenario is a tidal body of water where you have current, but it's maybe a subtle current. You're still going to use a lot of these same jerkbait techniques, but your boat positioning is going to be radically different. If you will, take the same concepts that Mike and Corbin are referring to on river fishing, where the current's, in your face. I mean, it's real easy to predict where to cast. You want that bait when that bait sweeps to a down position, that sweep, you want that sweep to occur where the fish are. So think about it from boat positioning on a dock or on a point, a wind-blown point on a lake.
Yep.
And the thing that you're looking for, like in a lake situation, is what depth are the bait fish at? So if the bait fish are in 10 to 12 feet of water, you want to intersect that point. You want your bait to intersect that point in 10 to 12 feet of water or 8 to 10 feet of water right above them. So a medium running jerk bait. Now, if it's really super windy, that angle is going to be a little more sharp. If it's not as windy, or if they're not drawing as much water through the lake, that angle is going to be more subtle.
Mm-hmm.
But try to picture the angle game. So as to Mike's point, making that 45-degree cast down, but if your target is here in a river and you're casting here, that sweep's going to be tighter. In a lake situation with a wind-blown current or a subtle current, when they pull water through a dam, it's a subtle current.
Real subtle, yep.
I mean, it's noticeable. It's a current. It positions the fish. It turns them on, but it's subtle. That sweep might be a little more broad.
Very broad, yeah.
So you really need to dedicate some time to studying the current, studying your electronics to find out the depth of the bait, and then studying the casting angles. It's an angles game. You're using the wind. You're not running from the wind. You're not hiding from the wind. You're using the wind. This is all wind-driven or a release from a dam if you're on a reservoir or a lake, and it's just as deadly. And a push is a push. If you're on the front edge of the point, if you look at a typical point on a lake, one side's always steeper than the other. When they're on that quote unquote push, that's usually going to be that steep side of that point where that current is pushing into that point and then coming up and over that point and creating that push. So really pay attention and focus on those minute details in that lake / tidal water circumstance with your jerkbait. And don't think that you can't jerkbait deeper grass edges on these lakes also, because you can using the same exact strategies.
Yeah.
So it's all about the bait.
So what are you throwing, George? What's your secret little
Oh
tidbit?
boy, I'll tell you what. I am I am a big fan of this bait. I've been throwing it. I became obsessed with it decades ago, 30 years ago, and I still throw it to this day, and it's the blade bait.
How did I know he was going to talk about that?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you
He
something.
is a psychopath on that.
The blade bait is a humble bait. This is the silver buddy, okay? This is the daddy, the granddaddy of blade baits. Now, you can't get any more humble in this world of, paint jobs and technical tweaks. I mean, we got
Treble
junk
hook.
hooks on a stamped stainless body with a gnarly blob of lead on it, okay? Now, I will change this bait significantly depending on my situation, but this half-ounce silver buddy,
That's money.
it's money,
It's
okay?
money.
So in the silver buddy brand, you have one hole in the top. Now, people talk about some of these baits have 3 holes in the top. You know what? 30 years of blade bait fishing, put the frickin' snap in whatever hole you want. It's all the same. The retrieve is way more important than that. But the silver buddy, now, in a rocky, gnarly, nasty environment, the first thing I'm going to do, assuming I'm just out fun fishing and there's not a tournament on the line, is I'm going to cut the front-facing point off this treble hook. So if you notice, this front treble hook has, this point right here, I'm going to cut that off.
Put that in front of your black shirt there.
Okay? I'm not good at this.
Other side.
This one has it cut off too.
That's sketchy. So
Oh, shoot.
that reduces a tremendous amount of snags. The biggest reason people don't fish blade baits is the snags. Now, you'll notice this silver buddy does not have a snap here. The snap's in the package. Well, if you buy this one, you're getting ripped off because there's no snap in the package. But the snap's usually in the package, and you put your snap in there. Don't tie on there, okay? Because your line will break. Now there's the blade bait world has become very congested because a lot of companies jumped on it. And I want to talk about a few of the ones that I've spent a great deal of time with. Now, the second one, other than the silver buddy, is the Blitz blade. Now, this was started 30 plus years ago by a guy by the name of Charlie Knuckles, and it's a zinc body. So it's a bigger body, but it's the same weight. It's zinc. What do they say here? 100% zinc alloy. Zinc alloy. And it does. It has a bigger body, a bigger profile, very similar weight. Obviously, it's a half ounce. And they get a little fancy. They put some metal flake, some paint jobs on them, split rings, and a black nickel hook. Now, on a silver buddy, for tournament day, when I'm in a tournament situation, unfortunately, I make some tweaks on this. I mean, these things are getting a little more expensive in this day and age. So I put split rings on, I put upgraded hooks on, I put a better snap on, but for fun fishing, I don't do any of that. So those two are fantastic. In the silver buddy, your plain silver and gold. Gold is very good particularly on a cloudy day. In the Blitz blade, I really favor that blue back. And he's got a lot of colors. But I really like that blue back. A few other ones that I've played with over the years, in the recent years, when this whole blade thing got hot again, and it's hot again. The Molex Trago blade. This actually comes with a double hooks. So this has both hooks are double, and this will not snag quite as often. And I'm going to talk to you about getting snagged with these blades. Right now, I'm just giving you an overview of 5 of them that I really like. Okay, there's a bunch we carry. I mean, our shop is like, if you put all the blades we have in a wheelbarrow, it'd take 2 people to push it out the door. I mean, we carry a lot of blades in here. So the Trago. I'm going to talk about weight. I'm going to go on here for a few minutes. The Keyburn from Jackal. You know, I'm a big Jackal fan. I like Jackal. I like almost everything Jackal makes. I spend a ton of time on their products. They're fish catching products. This blade is circuit board material. I don't think it matters, but and it also has the double hooks on it. Now, what I've noticed with the double hooks and cutting that front hook off, to reiterate, is you can really get down and dirty on the bottom and you don't get snagged as much. Okay. And I'm going to talk about snags in a second. And then the final one that I've played with, and I'm showing you a color that's pretty interesting on these. Now, our inventory is a little low on these right now, but I know we have a really big shipment coming in later this week, is the Mega Bass Dynabalance. And I know what you're going to say, Keyburns and Dynabalances and Tragos and Spro's coming out with one, and they're expensive, okay? So, you know, even the old school Silver Buddies up in the $6 range. You know, it is what it is, people. I don't make the damn things. I just sell them. But they catch fish, and like I say, one of the biggest concerns is getting snagged on them. So, let me just tell you, when you pick that blade up and you feel resistance as if you're snagged, and you probably are, don't jerk on the... Matter of fact, don't do this with anything, but really don't do it with a blade. Don't sit there and jerk on it, because all you're going to do is wedge it into place. Right, Mike?
Yeah, exactly.
How many times do I get snagged on a blade bait?
Exactly.
I mean, I've fished, on the river for 8 hours with one blade bait.
And here's something that's interesting about you. What rod do you fish that on?
Well, I want to talk about that too. I only fish a blade bait on a spinning rod.
Yeah, and I think
only.
I think that really helps him, because I hate fishing these things. I won't fish them because I don't have the patience for it. But George, with that spinning rod, you know, he talks about that. You know, just got to know. You know, he just does a lot of snapping. He does, you know, snapping it off. But I think that spinning rod is the key.
When you pick up on that bait and you feel resistance as if you're snagged, the first thing I want you to do is bow your line out and use the boomerang technique, which we have talked about in detail and we will continue to in the future. Most of the time, that's going to pop that bait free. And when you do pop it free, continue your retrieve, because your bait has an audience most of the time, meaning fish are drawn to that sound, that popping that thing free, and it's down there disturbing the peace. Okay? If that doesn't work, then get your boat over top of it and just shake it. And just picture that thing doing this. Flop, 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 flop. It's the weight of the bait almost knocks the hooks out. And I'm not kidding you. Very, very, very often I can fish all day long with one blade. Now, sometimes in wind and current and nasty weather, like really bad current and a lot of wind, sometimes I get so frustrated I just put the damn thing away. I'm not going to lie to you. I will lose in certain circumstances, but in other circumstances, I'm telling you the honest to God's truth. I've fished many a day on one or none, lost zero or maybe lost one. Now we have a question on here.
What pound test line?
Yes, we have a question on pound test line, and I'm just talking for myself here. Most of the time I fish this on a spinning rod with 8-pound line.
Yeah, he really does. He really does. And he gets bit with the damn thing. I mean, all the time.
I'm sorry about that.
Largemouth, smallmouth.
I do retie a lot.
Yeah, now he does on the tidal water. I know go to a heavier.
I do. So I fish a lot of tidal water in the winter months because the fishing is so good there. And we're going to do a show on that.
Yeah.
But I will go to
that's a different situation.
It is. And I mean, I'll really up my line there in the dead of winter to 10-pound.
But since
this time of the year, I'm actually fishing a 12-pound leader.
Yeah.
down there, but it's only because I'm fishing a lot of marinas
Yeah.
when these fish winter up in.
Yeah. Cables
and they wrap you.
and
But
some type
again,
of
a lot of
structure.
times if they wrap you and you just hold on to them, they'll swim back around again.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to talk about that at another time.
Yeah. But
Um,
I ever since George started fishing and was spinning, he's been doing it for a long time, but ever since he's really started doing a spinning rod thing, and guys are coming in here and they're asking questions, from me, I'm like, well, I'm not really a blade guy. I got to be honest with you. I'm just not a blade guy, but I fish with one of the better ones. And, what I would say to most guys is try it on the spinning rod before, you get like me where you just get too hard headed. So try it on a spinning rod. I really feel like, that's a big turning point for a lot of people, because when you get hung up, you're not going to jerk it into that as quick. You can really just kind of just snap it loose. It's easier to handle those snags.
Well, and Mike, and that's very true, but the true real reason that I went to a spinning rod is in the colder months. The problem with a blade bait is a lot of times you pick up on that blade. Okay, so the retrieve is cast out, let it sink to the bottom. I don't rip the blade. There's no ripping involved. I pick the blade up kind of like that, and I want to feel that brrr, brrr, and then I follow it down. I don't just free fall it.
Yep.
And the reason that I originally went to the spinning rod 30 years ago is it's uncanny the amount of times that you get to hear and you realize there's a fish on.
Yeah.
Now with a spinning rod, with me anyways, from this position here, I can convert more of those fish into hooked fish just because you're out of position. You are out of position. There's a lot of line involved that's in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And with a 7-foot or 7.2 spinning rod in a medium to medium heavy power, you can convert those fish. So that's really where the spinning rod came from. It came from frustration. I used to fish it years ago on a casting rod, and it was very frustrating. I've caught a lot of really big fish on the blade bait. I've caught, 5.5 to 7 pound fish on the blade bait numerous times.
Mm.
And when you start losing fish like that because your rod is out of position, that's why I went to the spinning rod. It works for me. I'm not at all telling you not to fish them.
No, but you should try it both ways. For the guys who just can't get it,
this is not something you're
try
gonna
it. Try it.
Yeah,
both
this
ways.
is not something you're gonna pick up on day one. Right?
See, I like braided fluorocarbon leader for it. That's what I use on mine.
There's braided fluorocarbon leader. I'm a straight fluorocarbon guy.
Michael McCabe. Yeah, I think it's a lot easier, and I think George will reiterate this. I think we definitely spot lock a lot when we're fishing this stuff because, we're fishing. It's got to be a controlled. I don't know how you can do it on a drift. In current situation, major current. I don't know how you can do it on a
blade
drift.
bait.
Yeah,
blade bait.
You want to be
in
locked.
Current.
You want to be locked in.
I'm locked in. I'm also locating my blade bait retrieves in the winter months in the eddies. So
yeah.
The seam and the actual dead eddy
in
the winter,
and that could be a back of a ledge, it could be a seam, it could be a pocket, anything, and that's what you want to look for.
GDP, the Elite Series Pro, says spinning rod for a blade bait all day.
Yeah. It's just what you get comfortable with. Yep. But I will really lobby hard for you guys and gals to give the spinning rod an honest effort, and you don't need anything special. The same spinning rod that you do.
Jig with that bait, or is it more of a cast out?
Not a lot. So another thing I do a lot is I vertical jig a spoon. Now,
no, I'm talking blade bait.
I don't.
Are you vertical?
Don't.
Right. So
I don't
stay with that.
I don't. When I vertical jig more of a spoon style bait.
Okay.
I don't like the blade for a vertical jig bait. For me, it's kind of like you cast it out and you kind of worm it back in, but you exaggerate the swimming action.
Another question: are you cutting the front hook off of both hooks, or are you cutting the front hook off only on the front treble hook?
Generally speaking, the front treble hook, because they land nose down. But if I'm getting snagged a lot and pissed off, as it were, that's a technical term, then I cut the front, then I cut the treble hook, the leading point on the back hook.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, from a hookup percentage, there's not a huge difference. And it's something I learned with treble hook lures striper fishing. I never fish a treble hooked plug striper fishing. I always use inline singles, and I get very few missed fish on the inline single. So
hang on, guys, we're getting it back here.
oh, technical difficulty.
Is the camera on, Nick? Yeah. You seen us?
Well, the camera's not on. Yeah. If you can't see us in the camera.
Everything's on. I didn't touch anything. Is the power still on? There we go.
We got it. We got you.
We back. We back.
got
They
you,
can
we got
still
you, we
hear
got
us.
you.
Yeah, they can
We
still
got
hear
you.
us.
We got you. I think we're on the wrong setting on that camera, but that's okay.
Tackle Shop Live.
So we're gonna have another
not be
outage.
live.
We're gonna have another outage in 25 minutes.
Well,
Okay.
Yep.
So
We're not going to be here in 25 minutes.
Hopefully everybody can see us now.
Okay, so yeah, finishing up on the blade bait. We were talking about cutting the hooks, and I will always do the front hook if I'm in gnarly cover.
Yeah.
Okay, and then if the snags are unacceptable, then I'll do the back hook.
Yep.
And the hookup ratio is just not that bad. Okay.
Yep.
If I'm not getting snagged much, I leave the trebles on. You know, there's a lot of places that you can fish these baits.
Yeah.
Where you just don't get snagged a lot.
I've seen you fish trebles all day long.
Or
I've actually seen George fish one blade bait for over 4 hours.
I fished a blade bait all day, many a time. You know, so I mean, it's just
I kind of can fish one for about 10 minutes.
yeah.
I'm lucky if I get 4 casts. I either catch a flathead or break it off.
So
I mean,
yeah,
that's just me. I don't know what to say.
so we talked about the
I
retrieve,
suck at this.
and I use the same retrieve whether I'm largemouth fishing on a lake, on a tidal body of water, or smallmouth fishing on a river. I basically just pick that bait up and swim it.
It's
I don't rip it.
Fantastic largemouth bait on points.
Well,
And on creek channel bends and on
Yes,
secondary points. It's just fantastic.
so there's, to your point, 2 things you mentioned: points and creek channel bends. So on a lake, we had a gentleman ask about the depth that we fish on a lake. During this time, he was asking when Corbin was talking about the jerk bait.
That's real simple.
Yeah, it's super simple. Use your electronics and find the depth that all the bait's at. Now,
So-
if you're on a lake that has shad, such as gizzard shad, right?
Yeah.
A lake that has like a bunch of fish like white perch, find the depth that they're at, and then find where that depth intersects with a point.
Yep.
And then start running those points at that depth.
Mm.
And eventually you're going to find a wad of fish on that point, converging on that bait. And these presentations that we've talked about so far tonight are going to pop.
Yeah.
So to answer that depth question.
Yeah.
Now, tidal waters, river, the depth I'm fishing is the freaking bottom. You know, if I'm fishing a marina on a tidal water, I mean, a lot of those marinas don't even get into the past the teens. You know, you're fishing the bottom and you're picking up.
Yeah.
The river, you know, Susquehanna River, Potomac River. I mean, the fish just don't winter that deep. I mean, 10, 12, 15 foot of water
Yeah, if that
is just where they're at.
Yeah.
All over those rivers, all over the Potomac, all over the Susquehanna. I mean, just everywhere. So it's not that you're fishing really deep with these baits. They're just such a great shad imitator in that cold water where that shad's just kind of like,
I think everybody's heard us say over and over and over and over, find the bait, find out where it's at, find out the depth that it's at, and fish those depths, even with our jerk baits, right, Corbin?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. You're not going to jerk bait just blindly. You're going to try to find the bait, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be around the fish to catch them.
And that was a key thing he said.
This is a time of year where we talked about electronics all year long, and for me, I am a shallow water river fisherman, and I fish other places too. But like my 360 is back on my boat now. Like it's go time. It's time to get on those electronics and find a couple things.
Yeah.
And you could be fishing a lot of dead water with
Very
any
important.
of these techniques that we're going to be talking about. And just because they're there one day, they could be gone the next. And, you sit and this is not the time to anchor up. If there's no fish around, you better keep moving.
Yeah,
well,
that's what
I'll say.
And the techniques
Absolutely.
we're talking about are, our sneaky little cold weather techniques.
Yeah.
Corbin's talking about the jerk bait. I'm talking about the blade. Mike's going to talk about something. Nick's got a little something up his sleeve. But these techniques work all the time. And I want to just finish up by saying one thing. Back years ago on the Potomac River, there was a bass top 150 that was won by a guy by the name of Carl Maxfield from South Carolina. Okay.
A name I haven't heard forever.
Yeah. Carl was a great
Damn.
guy. He's passed on. His brother is a long stalwart in the tackle industry. Great family.
Yeah.
Carl won the Potomac top 150 in Mattawoman Creek in August by fishing a silver buddy on inside bends on an outgoing tide. So as the tide would come out, it sweeps out of the creek, and obviously the outside bend has all the wood on it and the deeper drops, and you're like, oh yeah, I gotta flip all that.
Yeah.
Well, he'd get on that inside bend where that would come around, and it would be like a little back eddy right there,
Yeah.
and he'd flip that silver buddy up in that mud.
Yeah.
And walk that down that mud, and he won that tournament on
Unbelievable.
a silver buddy
Unbelievable.
in August on the Potomac. So I remember in my early days, August, and you know what the Potomac's like in August.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have some swamp ass in August on the Potomac, man. It's nasty.
It's hard to catch fish in August on the Potomac.
So and I remember my early days of blade bait fishing. Before anybody told me any different, I fished a blade bait 6 months out of the year. Now I don't, but I want these. I hope that my little blade bait tips and whatnot both inspire you to fish the blade bait, give you a starting spot in learning the blade bait.
Try a bunch of colors.
And if you need any, one-on-one, feel free to call the shop, but not tomorrow. Because I'm gonna be on the Mayan River tomorrow,
throwing the jackal keep burn.
I'm fishing with the jackal guys tomorrow, so I'm gonna be fishing the key burn because that's their bait. They're gonna be supplying them too. So I'm gonna spend some time.
He's gonna be like, oh, the hell with that snapping, man.
Yep.
Give me another one of
It'll
them
be
things.
it'll be 8 blade bait day for George.
Well, you never know, but I'm gonna make every attempt to refamiliarize myself with the key burn because I'll be honest with you, I haven't fished it in 2 years. Last winter, I didn't really fish winter patterns. I caught my fish up on the bank all winter long, and whatever. If that's how they want to play, then that's how I'm taking it to them. But that's my deal, boys, and I'm out.
Yeah.
He gone. Now, Mikey, give us a little.
What's your
little? You're gonna drop some knowledge right here.
This is something that I like. I see you fishing this thing all the freaking time.
There's 3-foot waves coming over the back of the boat, and Mikey's coming. He's gonna throw the Mikey rig.
And I see the way you rig it. I see the way you fish it. What is your sneaky cold weather technique, Mike?
Well, the thing here is, I'm always fishing in the wintertime. I'm always fishing with that guy and this guy. And it's some stiff ass competition. You got to be A game all the time. And if you don't think it's competition, just get in the boat with us. It is fierce competition. It's always first fish, number of fish, big fish. I mean, it's all about who does what. And there's been many, many times over the last 4 or 5 years that I've been throwing this bait that it absolutely crushes fish when nothing else is working. It's just it's a bait that you can sit on a hole and you can catch every fish out of that hole. And I've talked about it. I got videos. There's videos out there on our Instagram page and on our YouTube page about this bait. But
You ought to be sponsored by these people.
I mean, it's just a great bait. This is
Big Mike.
This is the Squidward.
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 Squidward is
Squidward with a T.
Squidward, yeah. That's what I said first, and you guys corrected me, and now you're telling me something different.
Squidward.
So
I call it
this is my time, fellas.
Mikey!
This is my time, fellas. Just tone it down. And so it's a Squidward, and it is a bait that you can fish slow, you can swim it. But this time of year, I like to just dead stick this bait. It has so much action, it's crazy. And it is the 4-inch Swing Impact by Kitech. This thing is stupid good. I fish it in 2 colors most of the time, either this one right here in the dirty water or stained water colors, or I fish it in the clear water, which I love this color. This is the Sexy Shad. This is the Sun Gill. They're the 2 colors. There's one more that we're out of stock on right now, but I just saw, George, that we're getting another shipment in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're getting our
Big,
shipment of them,
Big.
and that's the Bluegill Flash, and that's my other greatest color of all time. But these 2 baits right here, and one thing about them that you got to understand, it's different than a lot of other baits, is it's a slender. It's a very slender bait. It's got a lot of play. It's thin. You can see how it hangs in my hand. See how it's bent down. So it has a lot of movement to it without having to do anything to it. And I think that's what makes it so good. And the other thing is I'm sorry. Here it is. You can see it kind of bending over. But the other thing about it is it has a squid scent to it. And I think that is a key to this bait. It holds it. It keeps it in it for a long period of time. You can fish this thing, and you can you can absolutely have that scent in it all the time, and it's salted and everything else. But when they grab this thing, they don't spit it out. Now, the colder the water, the better this thing works. So right now, what water are we going to be fishing tomorrow, Corbin? What are you thinking?
If I had to guess, I'm guessing TN 70 water, 45 to 48.
40, yeah, like 45. So we're getting in the 40s right now. So this is when this bait really starts shining. From now until 38 degrees, 36 degrees, 35 degrees, we caught a minute. I mean, cold.
33.
Yeah, 33. This thing from now until it bounces, this is going to be a super hot bait for you. And super easy setup. I don't get crazy about it. I use an SFT big hook ball head jig in whatever weight that's necessary to hang the bottom and bounce the bottom and drift the bottom properly.
What size hook?
And we use a 3.0 hook on that. That's what I use. I don't do anything else. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. I think the way we fish it, it's a sharp enough hook. You sharpen it up, it holds that really well. It's strong enough, but it does flex a little bit, so you can get it out of snags a little bit better, and you can kind of fish a little longer. You don't have to be retying all the time.
Oh, Mike, to jump in there real quick on
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
I also have had really good success with that exact setup
Yeah,
on a spinning rod on some big tidal water fish
absolutely.
in cold weather.
Absolutely.
But the key with that hook is,
Yeah.
even though it's a traditional bronze,
Yeah.
Mustad hook,
Yeah.
with some flex on a spinning rod,
Yeah.
and with the fluorocarbon, you've got the rods flexing, there's some stretch in the line, there's give in the system.
Yeah.
And I've caught some really big fish,
big
Mike,
fish.
on a ball head
Yeah.
on that bait
Yep.
in tidal water
Yep.
in the dead of winter.
Yeah. And one thing to add, Mike, you know, a lot of people say about the jig head or whatever, it all comes down to the perfect drag setup. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you fished a good quality rod, good quality reel with a great drag. This is an area where I've seen you, and I mean, for those of you guys that have not fished with Mike, I mean, Mike sets the hook really hard and is known to break fish off on setting the hook. I mean,
Yeah.
whether it's braided fluorocarbon leader, it's etc. But with this technique, when he sets it, but his drag is set perfectly so that he doesn't break the fish off, but yet gets hook penetration and doesn't straighten the hook. So, like, I mean, I don't know if you want to go into that, but like, that's kind of one of those little tidbits where, you know, where this is the time of year where you need to be able to do that, you know, because they have harder mouths, but you don't straighten the hooks and land them. And your landing percentage is like phenomenal on these, you know?
Yeah, I know. We just don't lose. We don't lose fish on them.
We
You know, we
don't,
really don't. And we sharpen the hooks. That's important.
Yeah.
Except for when you're in Corbin's boat and trying to find a hook sharpener.
That's because they're, yeah.
But me and George, we sharpen them all the time, keep them nice and sharp, and it penetrates really good on these hard jaws in the wintertime and these hard mouths and stuff.
Yeah, that's important to realize.
But the key to this bait is to throw it out and like you know, in a river situation, when we're fishing a river situation, we throw it out on a 40 degree, 45 degree downriver cast. We hold the rod high. So this is a 10 to 2 retrieve. 10 o'clock to 2 or 10, I'm sorry, 10 to 12. 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and you're not moving any more than that. You're just kind of helping the bait along the bottom and letting it just the current push it along. It's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple jigging thing, but the key is not to drop the rod and pick up and drop the rod and pick up, because that's where you're losing contact with the bait and you're taking the bait out of the strike zone. You want that rod from 10 o'clock, and you're just helping. I don't know if I can. You're just kind of helping that thing, that fish, that bait, just helping it along. You're not moving the rod like this, but you're moving it.
Basically, you can take a swing impact Kitech, put it on a SFT ball head, throw it in a glass of water, put it on your counter at home.
Yeah.
And that tail will just sit there and pulsate back and forth.
It really does. It just, and you're letting the current do the work.
You don't have to do anything.
You know, and here's the thing about cold water fishing. Allowing the subtle currents to do the work is natural.
It is.
So with this goes with Corbin's jerk bait. You know, when we're dead sticking and we're kind of jerking and letting that pause, he's slack water in your slack lining, slack line jerk, and allowing this bait to bounce on the bottom. You're allowing the currents to make it do natural movements. Natural movements are what fish are looking at. You know, they're not dumb. They know what's going on. So allowing that bait to do its thing, and you're not making it do its thing. You're just helping it along. Allowing that current to move that tail and push it around and make it swirl at the right time is very natural. And you're going to get more strikes because of it. Yep. And I'm telling you, this is proven stuff. This is stuff that we prove all the time out there in the water to a guy who's jigging real hard, and we're just sitting next to him and just wrecking them. And they're going, "What the heck are you guys doing?" And we show them the bait and we show them what we're doing. And they just don't get it because they're working the bait too quick. It's a slow, methodical thing. Everything is slowed down. It's muted. Everything is muted. So from here on out, everything's going to be muted. They're not chasing up real far. They're not ripping at stuff. That's what George is saying about his blitz blade or his blade baits. You know, he's not ripping the thing. He's just swimming it up and letting it fall and control fall back down. It's very natural in these conditions. And, color wise, I'm really a simple guy. We do have a lot of colors in our boat, but we really only fish a couple colors. And this is a very, very key color to us. The sungill and the bluegill flash is a very key color for most of the time. And then in super clear water, and this is when the water gets in those low 40s and upper 30s, all the sediment drops out of it because it doesn't hold it anymore, and it gets ultra clear. Then we go to the sexy shad colors, and I've waffled them on this thing when nothing else is working. I've had numerous guide trips where I made that subtle change to this bait right here. It saved the day. We caught a lot of fish. We caught big fish on it. I've caught largemouth on this thing. I've caught smallmouth on this thing. I caught walleye. Walleye love this thing. It's just very natural. It's a natural bait. It's the size. It's not overpowering. It's not a 3.8 fat. It's not a 3.3 fat. This is
It's finesse.
This is a finesse kind of bait, and it's allowing the currents to do the work. And I think that's where it's a big thing. Now, fishing docks with it, like we do down in the, on the Chesapeake Bay, you know, you can throw that thing out there and you can let it fall down along a dock and just sit there and I do a thing where I just vibrate the line.
I call it the Mikey.
Yeah.
I mean, I call it the he'll be there and he'll be dragging it and he'll be like, oh, there's a rock, and he'll be like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, Mikey. And he's like,
Yeah.
and it works,
Yeah,
man.
it's just and all you're doing is just quivering that tail. I'm not moving the bait on the bottom. I'm just quivering the tail. And sometimes I'll just sit there on the bottom, especially, you know, along a pylon or, you know, somewhere where you think there's fish, but really on the river where we're in these little pockets and these ditches, you know, they're there looking at it.
Yep.
And I'll just sit there and shake that thing. And then all of a sudden it just gets heavy. Now, that's another thing we should talk about here real quick between all of us guys. These bites are very, very subtle. They're what we call pressure bites.
Yeah.
So a pressure bite is where you just kind of pick up and go, oh my gosh, there's something on there, you know, and you set the hook. I call it the wet leaf bite, you know, where it just all of a sudden gets heavy. If any one time you want to use your best rod possible or buy a rod for this situation, you want to buy the most expensive, best rod you can buy. This is it.
Yeah.
This is where it pays off. And I'm not kidding you about this. I'm not the guy that pushes expensive rods. I am the guy who tells you that you don't need all these expensive rods, but for this situation, you want to buy the most expensive rod you can afford. Now, there's great rods out there for $150 or $160 that'll work, but there's only a couple of them. But this is where you're going to use your best rods.
Yeah.
You're going to use 100% fluorocarbon. Where are you going to use the braid to fluorocarbon setup? I'm just a big fluorocarbon guy for this.
Yeah.
Because you need to feel.
And that speaks a lot for you because you openly say you don't.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't. Corbin really trained me on the fluorocarbon. This is a time of year where it's 6 pound or 8 pound test. I'll go to 6. I have a reel always set up with 6 when it's really cold in the 30s. I like to go to 6. Right now I'm still fishing 8, no problem. But I'll go to 6 pound and it's going to be fluorocarbon. And there's something about that fluorocarbon. It's just, you can feel really super subtle bites. So, you know,
And Mike,
give it a whirl.
I've seen you do 2 different things with this bait, and I don't want to touch on it too much. I mean, usually when I see you throw a braid to fluorocarbon leader, you upsize by about, you know, like if you're catching them on 3/16, you'll go to a quarter.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the fall rate of fluorocarbon. But the other thing is, I mean, don't sleep on this as a drop shot bait. I mean, I saw you drop shot the one day, you know, on a pile of fish, and you're like, man, like I just feel like they're not coming down and eating it. And you tied on that drop shot, and he was like, and he did the whole like, Mikey, and he's like, oh boys, there's one. We're like, mother dog, you know.
You know, it's just a great cold winter time bait. It goes along with George's Blitz blade very well. It's if you go out really this time of year and you fish the jerk bait like Corbin's got over there and fish exactly like he said, and you fish the Blitz blade or the I keep saying Blitz blade because that's what you have on top, the blade bait, just like George told you how to fish, and then you fish this bait right here, you're going to have a good day of fishing.
Yeah.
I don't care where you go. You're going to have a good day of fishing. Take it from us guys who do this a lot. We're not busy this time of year. So me and George and Corbin fish a lot this time of year, and we'll fish all the way to the lures start bouncing, and we love it to death. So, Dan, how you doing? Ryan Dahl, what's up, man? We sharpen our hooks with
a Rapala hook file.
A Rapala hook file. It's a handheld file, cuts in one direction.
Has really fine teeth on it.
Yep, fine teeth. and
That's what we use
and we're-
exclusively.
and what I'm going to do, because George does a really good, he's really precise with it. I'm going to have him do a video on this.
Again,
Did we do one already?
we have, but we should freshen it up.
Yeah, so we're gonna do another one for you guys, and we'll put it on either Instagram or YouTube and probably everything. Nick,
Yeah, we do have one on YouTube right now.
There is one on
It's an
YouTube?
On the water that George.
oh,
did.
okay, yeah.
I've now sharpened like 11 million hooks with my file.
He,
I mean,
you know,
it's just-
and I sharpen a lot of hooks, and I do it my way, and he does it his way. We're pretty similar to the way we do it, but he really shows it well. So we'll get him to sharpen that up again and put another little shot out there for you guys.
Yeah, because there's
Very,
numerous-
very, very, very important.
yes.
This time of year. when
Well,
when
and you're
there's pre-
touching up a lot
yeah, and you're touching up all day
because you know
long.
you're banging your blade baits off the rocks. You're banging your
Jerk bait.
jerk bait hooks off the rocks, plus just a jerk bait hook swinging against the body.
Yeah,
You're banging your jig head on the rock.
yep, yep.
So yeah, let's put a bow on these 3 techniques. We have a few other things that
Yeah.
we really need to cover.
Yeah, so that's it
Um,
right there.
You know, we have
and
some baits, some rods, some other stuff we want.
right now we're going to go into some real quick. We're going to do some tournament talk.
We already did
Oh,
tournament
I mean,
talk.
tackle talk. Tackle talk. This is tackle talk. So what's new, George? What's going on? What's hot? What's going on with all this tackle?
There's a few things. I don't really want to get into a ton of it this week. For the simple matter that the couple things I want to talk about. First of all, we received a huge St. Croix rod shipment today. We got the new Bass X, which we're going to break down in a future show because it's going this shipment's going to take a few days to process. It's not going to come live on our inventory for a little while. It's a big shipment. We got all the new Victory models. There's like 11 new Victory models. We
Oh.
got all of them.
Wow.
We got the new Trout series, which has been revamped. We got the
Beautiful.
new Panfish series, which has been revamped.
Beautiful.
So we're going to do our level-headed best to process these rods.
Did you say a bass?
Bass X.
Yeah, Bass X.
I don't think
there
we
is a huge pile of them back here.
and I don't think we got all the models of Bass X,
There's
but
a million of them
we
back here.
got a lot of them.
I'm telling you right now, if I brought it out here, it would cover this whole entire
Well,
area.
what we're going to do is we're going to process this order. We're going to get it in our system. And then in the next several episodes, we're going to break down a rod or two. Because, for example, Bass X has 3 awesome swim bait rods. Okay. Victory has a 7.5-foot light action spinning rod. So there's some really key rods to talk about there. A couple other things that we want to talk about in the kind of newer product. It's cold out, okay? And we want to talk about keeping your hands warm. You know, I fished yesterday all day. It was a very cold day. The wind was blowing hard. And I'm not a big glove guy, but I wore gloves all day. So let me show you some gloves here. So I've been down, around, and everywhere on gloves. And where I have settled in the last couple years is the AFCO helm glove.
I love those gloves, dude.
Now, I don't know. They keep changing the name of this thing. I call it the helm glove, whatever. It's this glove right here. We have them on sfttackle.com. They're easy to figure out. But these little AFCO guys down here, they're grippy. You get a good grip with those, don't you, Corbin?
Yeah, I mean, I love them, and I've been wearing them since they came out. And what I wear them for is they're great fishing gloves, but to me, they are a good liner. The next glove you're going to talk about, I also wear a ton of.
Well, to me, this glove right here, I don't wear it as a liner. I wear this. This is my glove. This is the glove that I wear in the winter. All day, every day. And I don't even like fishing with gloves on, but when it's really cold, this is the glove right here. This thing is, I won't call it windproof because it's probably technically not. Really doesn't say it. Windproof. There you go. The Helm glove has a windproof 4-way stretch. I'm going to tell you right now, this is windproof. Okay. I didn't know that until I just read that. But I can wear this glove on the coldest day of the year, and I'm a winter guy. I love fishing in the winter. So that bad boy. Now, if you're really you need some protection,
These are the ones I wear these driving the boat.
you put this thing on top of you when you're going to make a run. So when I fire up and I'm going to run down the lake, when you're driving, you can't put your hands in your pocket. Okay. So your hands get like super chilled down, and you can leave your Helm glove on and put this hydronaut glove on over top of it. It's pretty cool. It's waterproof or water resistant. I don't know if they call it waterproof or not. She's waterproof. You got a little quick adjust there. You got a little quick adjust tab up here. I don't use either one of them.
I use them both.
And then you have the windshield wiper. If you look on the finger here, it says wiper. And there's a blade on there. And when you're running your boat and the spray's getting on your glasses, you can reach up there and swipe them. And let me tell you something, it works.
And you can also use it on your electronics. Your electronics get foggy as well.
So I wanted to hide because it's cold.
It is.
Cold. It's
And I'm
freezing out
telling you,
there.
I wore these gloves all day. Yes, I wore them all day long fishing.
It's funny, like
You can even cast with them.
day one, George found them at 3 o'clock when we were backing into the boat
Yeah.
ramp.
He's like, oh, I forgot my gloves. Oh.
I was a little salty that day.
Yeah.
So that is the Helm glove and the Hydronaut glove. Now, something else from AFCO and for those of you who don't know me, I do most of the buying here at SFT. So I sometimes, and I get a lot of help on the clothing because, some people say I'm not the most fashionable. I think I look pretty fly most of the time, but check this bad boy out. Hold up.
Oh, jeez. Boy, oh, boy.
I saw
Boy,
my
oh,
rep.
boy.
My rep just hustles me, man. I mean, like he's shooting pool against me, and he's better than me. He just hustles me. But Scott Nemasek, you put me off on a cool ass freaking tip here.
That is a cool sweatshirt.
This is called the Bass Patch hoodie.
Yep.
I mean, would you just look at that? Just look at it.
Just look at it.
It's got it all.
And then look up front here.
It's got it all.
And then you got the little dark camo pat. I mean, come on, people. Get on over to sfttackle.com and get your Christmas shopping done. Get your mind right, Bobby.
Got to get you. Oh, whoa.
Oh.
What?
So the last thing I want to talk to you about, which
Oh,
I've
God.
talked to you about briefly before. Let me hang this hoodie up quick.
Here, I'll get it, George. All right.
The last thing I want to
Can't
talk to
tell
you
him
about
anything. Can't tell him anything.
is the Shimano Sustain. And I know we've talked about it briefly before, but we just got another big shipment of Sustains in. The last big shipment of Sustains was in too, but it went out.
They gone.
So what I really like about the Sustain is it's always been like a really special reel in the Shimano lineup. It's kind of like the Certate is in the Daiwa lineup. It's not like the biggest name that they have, but if you have a Sustain or if you have a Certate, you have something that's substantial. So the new Sustain has been upgraded to represent the micro module gear revolution in Shimano, which is the little micro teeth, which we've talked about ad nauseum. This is micro module gear 2. So it's a second generation. Basically, micro module is a smaller gear tooth with more teeth engaged, meshed at any given time. So you can kind of picture in your mind that process. Aluminum body, gun A body. The drive gear is formed through a cold forging process, which means it's pressed. There's not a lot of machining done. So the metal keeps its integrity better for longer life. You've got a CI4 MGL rotor, which means it's extremely light. It has very little startup inertia resistance. Okay. It also incorporates other features from the higher end reels, the long stroke spool. So you're getting a truer wrap, a layering of the line, if you will. So this layer is more truly spaced on top of the previous layer, eliminating friction, increasing casting distance. It's got the really cool one-piece machine bail wire. There's no weakness. There's no joinery of the metal here, if you will. Just a great reel. Cross carbon drag, a ton of like waterproofing features we're not even going to get into. So Sustain 2500s back in stock. Yeah. And that, Mike, is this week's Tackle Talk.
Yeah, great
So
stuff.
We got a couple announcements,
Yeah, great stuff.
and then we're gonna finish up. Corbin, sound good?
Sounds great.
We're gonna fish the Sustain tomorrow.
Sustain, Stella, and what's the new twin power?
Well, we're gonna fish them both. We're
Yeah.
gonna fish the
Twin Power XP
freshwater,
or something?
the freshwater and / light saltwater twin power.
Yep.
And we're also gonna fish the saltwater twin power.
Yep.
So all of that, but the Sustain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna fish the
I
Sustain.
got one of those on order with the NRX Plus.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So 11/18,
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
the week before Thanksgiving.
7:30 p.m. Assuming all of our camera equipment works, we're gonna have Fat Cat Newton call in, and he is revved up. I talked to him today. He is fired up. He said, "Bobby, get your mind right. I'm coming in hot." So Fat Cat's gonna be talking cash on rods, the Icon series. He's gonna be talking the NFPL.
His own league.
I don't know about that.
Well, that's what you call it, the Fat Cat Newton tournament.
Right, but I don't think he owns it.
Well, I mean, that's
The
what you referred to it as all year.
NF
Now we're being correct.
NFPL.
Well, that's the guy you follow.
Right?
Right.
NFPL?
Yeah, National Professional
NPFL.
National Professional Fishing
Yeah,
I got my letters wrong.
You know what I mean?
League.
So he's coming in with that. And we're also going to talk about, Fat Cat's a Virginia boy, fishes the Potomac River a lot. So we're going to probably pick his brain a little bit about some November, December holiday season
For
Potomac fishing.
I want to find out how he rides his trike, man. The 3-wheeler. That's what I want to find out. I mean, that's what I want to find out.
I think he rides it aggressively.
And we're going to talk about reel repair
Yeah,
and how he puts them in the dryer.
yeah.
Well, it should be
And the famous high kick.
it should be an interesting segment.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah, Fat Cat, he doesn't have an unlimited amount of time, but he is going to jump in and be gracious with the time he has. And so he's on the 18th. We have a couple other guests who are manipulating those schedules for us, and we will announce them in the next couple weeks as well.
We got some great guests from here on out through the winter.
We do, actually.
We're gonna make sure we got some great guys for you guys to hang out and talk with and ask questions, and it'll be a really, really fun time. All right. So
That's about it, huh?
yeah. Yesterday we lost a great man. My father-in-law passed away yesterday. He was a great guy. He was a loving father. He was a loving husband. He was a loving pap. It was just very sudden. But he was just a great guy. He was one of them guys who just, everybody loved him, and that's the thing about those type of people, they just, everybody loved this man. He never had a bad thing to say to anybody. which was just, you don't see that anymore in this world, so it was really, really a sad situation for everybody. We have great memories of him. So if anybody who's drinking with us tonight can raise your glass in a toast for the great one, the great Howard Painter. Howard, we love you and we miss you, pal.
Rest in peace.
Rest
man.
in peace, pal. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that was a tough one, but he was a great guy. So we had some great memories of him. And then, I don't know if George,
Yeah, I mean,
fact checked it or not.
It's confirmed.
We basically,
Yeah.
we basically just heard on the show here, and Aaron Martins has passed away from his 19-month battle with, which basically boils down to brain cancer. They have a name for it, but I checked on the interwebs, and his wife Leslie has put out a little summary on that, and we've been following Aaron's battle, and of course he was a great warrior on the water, and nonetheless a great warrior in his battle against that demon cancer.
Yep.
Aaron,
cheers, buddy.
Set the hook, brother.
Rest in peace, pal. So, thank you guys. Appreciate all you guys. Say some prayers for everybody out there, and we appreciate you stopping by. Another edition, Tackle Shop Live.
See you next time.